everybody, welcome back to the kitchen. I'm Jo Michaels, the baking author, and you are in for a treat today. We are going to make a chocolate caramel twisted loaf. I'm going to use it for a bread pudding in a couple of days. I will link to that video down below in the comments or in the description. It's going to be really fun, but the hard part about this is we're going to make our caramel sauce and our chocolate ganache from scratch. So this is going to be kind of long. I'm going to try to cut out as much of that as I can. I'm going to start with the caramel sauce because it really does take the longest to cool. So what you're going to want is kind of a wide bottom pan with sides so it doesn't kind of splash out on you anywhere. If you're on a cooktop, set it over medium heat. That's about 7-ish. If you're on a gas stove, you could turn it up to medium high because you can kill that heat really quickly. Of course, on a cooktop you can just move it, but it just the heat is different on a cooktop. So what you're going to need is 6 tablespoons of butter cubed and at room temperature. Mine is soft. Use really good butter because if you use the store brands, it has a lot more fat in it and your caramel sauce will taste different. You're going to need a cup of sugar, 1 cup, just granulated sugar, and then a 1/2 cup of heavy whipping cream. Okay, so we're going to get going. I'm just going to put the cup of sugar into my pan, and this is about a 10-minute process. It goes pretty quickly. Your sugar changes that fast, so keep an eye on it. Don't walk away. You're going to have to constantly stir it. So let's get going. I'm going to get my spatula because I have found that is the easiest way to whisk this around. All right, medium heat. I don't know why cooktops are so different. Let's see, up to 10. Okay, set it over like 5-ish. And then you're just going to want to stir it. And it's going to look at first like it's going to clump up on you, but it doesn't. It does become smooth and all of the sugar melts. You don't need to add water to this. But when we add the cream and the butter, it's all going in at once. Like the butter will go in and then the cream will go in right after that. So it's a fast process once we hit a certain point. Again, you just want to keep that sugar kind of moving over the heat as your pan warms up. And I'm using a non-stick pan. I do suggest you do that. It will save you many headaches. I am really quickly going to leave this and go grab a jar because it's not even warm yet. Or 2, because we're going to need 1 jar for our caramel sauce and 1 jar for our chocolate ganache. Okay, not walking away again, I promise. This is such a yummy loaf, y'all. I'm going to have to make 2 because my family really likes this bread. So in order to keep them from eating the bread that I plan to use for the bread pudding, I'm going to have to leave it out, and let it kind of dry out a little bit for the bread pudding. I'm going to have to make 2. So I will use my basic bread loaf recipe. Again, that video I will link down below, but you shouldn't need it because we're going to be doing the whole thing right here, right now. You will see. You will see. Which means, yes, I have to walk you through basic bread as well. Like I said, it's going to be long. I'm going to shut up now and just stir my sugar, and I will be back whenever it starts to make the change. Okay, guys, it's been just a few minutes, and my sugar is starting to clump up in my pan. It's starting to look like little rock crystals. So I told you it was going to do that, and it will. Just keep stirring, keep stirring, keep stirring. It will smooth out. And once it smooths out, we're just going to let it cook a little bit as we keep stirring until it goes an amber brown color. And then we're going to pop it right off the heat because, again, if I leave it here, I'm in trouble. If you're working on a gas stove, just turn your gas off once you hit that point. You'll smell it when it changes. My nose is stuffy. I'm going to tell you what, all this rain down here in Georgia, one thing it's good for is making those weeds grow. I don't know if you can see this. It's kind of a crystallized mess in my pan. Could you see that when I tipped the pan up just now? Now it's still melting on the bottom here, little by little. So just keep stirring. If you quit stirring, you're going to get chunks. So keep going. My arthritis in my hand is killing me. I had to change positions with my spatula. Gotta love it. Oh, I hate getting old. I want my 20-year-old body back, and I promise I will be kinder to it. I promise. I promise. Okay, now it's kind of starting to smooth out, and it's turning a pretty light brown color. And we just want that color to darken after all these chunks dissolve. And that's what we're going to be waiting on, is that color to change. It does get nice and smooth. Just don't stop stirring it, okay? Don't stop stirring it. You may think, oh, I can stop stirring it right now. No, you can't. Don't stop stirring it. It's kind of like roux. You gotta keep on it sometimes. Sometimes you gotta know when to let it sit. This is chunky. Keep stirring it. It's gonna get pretty hot, but it won't get to like candy temperature. And you can just kind of eyeball this, unlike candy. You actually have to use that thermometer. All right, my chunks are gone, and I have a nice brown liquid. It's really smooth. And now it's just cooking down to a caramel color. And it changes on a dime, so you got to keep an eye on it and don't stop stirring it. Because burnt sugar is nasty. All right, that color right there, we're going to take it off the heat. For some reason, I have chunks of sugar on my spatula that need to dissolve in my liquid. Just getting them down there. Okay, this pan is still really hot. I'm going to add my butter all at once and stir it in. This is going to cool down your liquid just a little bit. That's why you make sure it's at room temperature. You don't want it cold. And it's going to look like the butter's not going to melt, but it will melt. Just keep stirring. Then we're going to add our cream. Don't go beyond that light brown color, because your pan's going to retain some heat. It's going to keep cooking that sugar just a little bit, and you don't want to mess that up. Okay, my sugar and butter are all mixed together. I'm spilling my cream on the stove, and now I'm just going to mix my cream in as well. And it will incorporate. Just be patient. I'm actually going to go grab my whisk. Just to make this process a little smoother. Yes, it's work. Yes, it's worth it. This is one of the best caramel sauces I've ever had. Yes, it's going to want to get stringy on you. Just keep whisking. If you need to put it back on the heat to kind of melt that caramel just a little bit, just set it back on your stovetop, because it still should be warm. And you can just heat it through until all those chunky pieces disappear into your liquid. Probably should have done this before I added the creamer. That way I didn't have to carry it all the way over my stovetop. And just whisk. Just whisk. And I know it's going to seem like forever. My hands are killing me. It doesn't help that I make bread like a fiend, so I'm always kneading. My hands are like, help me, help me. Or help us. Help us, help us. I'm just going to pop that heat on for a second. It won't take but a second. And the reason I say use a non-stick pan is because already this caramel's trying to stick to the sides and the bottom. That's why I'm popping it back on the heat for just a second to loosen some of those chunks up and get them incorporated into my caramel. Just like that. Just until it's warm. And the pan will let go of anything it's holding on to. Wow, that's beautiful. Alright, the reason that we make our caramel and our ganache before we make our bread is because it will take this about an hour to cool, which is about how long it takes your bread to do the first rise, and then you'll be able to add it to your bread. So, there you have a nice caramel sauce. I will show you what it looks like. Good spoon. Just like that. It's so pretty. Note I am not scraping the bottom of my pan with this spoon. And I would actually like to taste it. That's really good. At this point, you can add some salt if you want to. But I like it just like this. Now I'm fixing to pour it into one of these jars. No sugar on my stovetop, please. Sugar actually pits a cooktop. So if you spill sugar on your cooktop, get it off really quickly. You don't actually need that lid. I'm going to do this over the sink. Alright, I'm going to get this in the jar. Then we're going to start on the chocolate ganache. I will be right back, okay? As an aside, if you're trying to clean your pan after you make this, just put some water in it and pop it back on the heat. Voila. Hey everybody, I'm back. We have our caramel sauce in our jar. That's going to sit and cool for the next probably hour and a half. I may have to heat it up just a little bit to make it a little more pliable to put it on my bread, but that's neither here nor there. Now we're going to make some chocolate ganache. So you have your half a cup of heavy whipping cream in a big bowl. You are going to want semi-sweet chocolate, 4 ounces. And this is where a lot of people mess up their ganache. So your ganache will seize if your chocolate pieces are too big or if you get your cream too hot. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're just going to microwave our cream until it just starts to steam. Then we're going to shred our chocolate on a grater. That's going to actually give us a lot smoother chocolate. And then once our cream is steaming, we'll just dump our chocolate in there and mix it until it's smooth. Okay? So I'm going to use a grater to grate my chocolate. Let me see if I can find it. Oh. Here it is. This is really nifty. I got it from Pampered Chef. I use it for cheese all the time. But today, it's going to be used for chocolate. I just have 4 ounces of baker's chocolate, semi-sweet, and I'm just going to grate it on this grater. I probably need to put it on a plate, just in case I lose some. So, on a plate, and just grate it. And yes, it's going to take you a hot minute. So, I'm going to grate this chocolate, and then I will be back with you guys, and we'll keep going, okay? Okay, guys, I'm back. Woo! My arthritis in my hands is freaking killing me right now. That probably would have been easier with like a food processor. Just pop that chocolate in there and give it a couple of whizzes. Yeah. Anyway, what I really find, so if you're cutting it, go for pieces like this size. You know how small that is? You want it as small as possible so when you add it to your cream, it doesn't take a lot of heat to melt it. Now I'm just going to pop this in the microwave for like 30 seconds. And then we'll see what temperature we're at. Now we wait 30 seconds. The idea for this bread came from a friend of mine did a sourdough knot. And it looked really good. And I was like, I bet I could do that with regular bread. So I did it. Oh, my family devoured it. They literally just pull it apart like they haven't eaten in a year. Because I sprinkled chopped pecans over top, about a cup. And then right before it's baked, it's really good. All right, our cream is steaming. So it is hot enough. You don't want to make it hotter than that because you don't need to. So now I'm just going to add my chocolate. Quickly. And give it a little stir. And don't be tempted to put it back in the microwave. If you got your cream steaming, your chocolate will melt. Just give it a mix, okay? You can use a spatula or a whisk or whatever, but just mix it. Don't want your cream to get too hot. Don't want too big a pieces of chocolate. Those are the places where people tend to get in a little bit of trouble when they're making ganache. It's not hard. It's time consuming, as you just saw, but it's not hard. And just stir it until it's smooth. And there you have it. Chocolate ganache. And it's smooth and beautiful. And if you want to give it some whisk love, you can. It's perfectly fine. I find a spatula works just as good as anything else. And now this is going to be put into a jar and cooled. Not that it has to cool a lot. The caramel is going to take a lot longer. But if you want to make like a chocolate mousse or a chocolate whipped cream, whip your cream now and then fold this chocolate into it after you've refrigerated it. Just a smidge to take the warmth off of it. Boom, chocolate mousse. Yum, yum. Again, this was semi-sweet chocolate, so it's not going to be super duper sweet. I'm trying to avoid super duper sweet in this bread because it's going to be made into a bread pudding. So, chocolate ganache in the bowl. Just like that. Wasn't that easy? You're going to be like, why haven't I always made my own chocolate ganache? The answer to that is, I don't know, but you should. I always pour things over the sink. My mom always said the minute you pour it over the counter is the minute you're going to spill it. And it's easier to clean it up if you just put it in the sink. And she was right. Especially with sugar and flour and things like that. Oh my Lord. Every time I think I've got this and I try to do it over the counter, or on the counter, I end up spilling it and making a big old mess all over my counter. I do it in the sink, I never ever spill it. So funny. Murphy's Law, I guess, huh? Woo! Okay. Chocolate ganache done. So now we have our chocolate ganache and our caramel sauce. Now we're going to put our bread together. Oh, you can't even see those. Chocolate ganache, caramel sauce. Now we're going to put our bread together and I will show you how to incorporate these once it's risen and everything to make that really gorgeous chocolate caramel twisty loaf. Alright, I will be back with you guys in just a few minutes. Going to kind of clean up, reset, and I'll see you then. Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to make some basic bread. It doesn't take very long. So the first thing that we're going to do is put our warm water, not over 130 degrees, into our bowl. If you have water that's over 130 degrees, God bless you. Alright, then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of yeast. About 1/8 of a cup of honey. I don't measure this. I just squeeze some honey in there. My yeasties like it. I need to stir in spatula. Give this a little stir around. Then I'm going to add some sugar. Usually do, I think, of 1.5 tablespoons of just granulated sugar. I don't measure that either. It doesn't have to be exact. This bread's just a little bit sweeter than other bread. Anyway, so And I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of whole wheat flour as we go along here, just to give it a little extra sweetness, because that is actually kind of sweet. All right. A lot of people don't tell you to wait for your yeast to activate. You can watch it as soon as it starts rising to the top and going pop, 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 it's ready. It's really just to check and see if it's active. If you make sure you measure your water temperature and it's not over 130 degrees, you're golden anyway. So what I'm going to do right now is I have some fresh cinnamon sticks that I'm going to microplane, about half of this, into this bread dough, or yeast starter, and making sure to pick out the chunks that fall in, because we don't want chunks. No chunks in our bread. You don't want to be chewing along and bite into a piece of wood, that's for sure. You could do this while you're waiting on your yeasties to start to pop. The fresh ground cinnamon just has a sharper flavor in it than pre-ground cinnamon. And my yeasties are getting foamy. There's a lot of sugar in there. Between the honey and the granulated sugar, they're very happy. And if you don't feel like microplaning, go ahead and add just a couple teaspoons of cinnamon. It's fine. You're not going to hurt anything. Let me throw away that woody bit that I lost down in the yeasty water there for a second. Alright, just cinnamon. Microplaned. I used that. I used that. If I don't do this, I end up putting things in there that probably shouldn't go in there. Alright, spooning and leveling. I'm going to start with my wheat flour. Just about 2 tablespoons. I'm going to put it in the bottom of my cup here. Waka waka. Like I said, it just gives it a nice flavor. So 2 tablespoons is probably 1/8 of a cup. Now I'm going to pile on top of it some of this bread flour. I just have bleached bread flour. It's impossible to find unbleached bread flour because pandemic. But hey, it is what it is. Alright. 1. Pop it right in there. I'm going to mix that one and the next one around with my spatula before I go to the dough hook. I'm not even sure I have enough flour here, so we will see. This takes about, I think, 5½ cups of bread flour, maybe 5 even. I'm not really sure. Can't remember, but my recipe's right there. I'll look at it in just a second. But I always add 2 or 3, then give it a nice stir, just to incorporate it. Then I add my salt. You don't want your salt to touch your yeast, like slugs. Salt kills yeast. Maybe they're made up of the same thing. I don't know, but God, this cinnamon bread smells so good right now. And you can get creative with it if you want to add a little bit of espresso powder or some instant coffee. Dude, totally up to you. Make it your own. It would be really good, by the way, with that chocolate ganache and that caramel coffee bread. Yes, please. I eat coffee with everything. So, there we go. Now we're going to add our salt. 3/4 of a tablespoon. It's just a guesstimation. This is coarse salt. If you're using regular salt, use half as much. Bam. Alright, now I'm going to throw in my next cup of bread flour. Yep, 5½ cups. I don't think I have 5½ cups, but who knows? Maybe I do. This is 3. We shall see, shan't we? Do not fall down on the flour, knife. It's okay if you get some on the counter. You're going to dump your bread there soon anyway. All right, that's 3. Now we're going to the mixer. Once I get this mixed in, While that's mixing its first little mix around, I'm gonna go get some more flour. You guys are gonna wait on me. We're gonna let this knead for just about 3 minutes on low, just to really incorporate all those ingredients we just tossed in there. It's okay if some crap sticks to your spatula. It'll come off eventually. All right, got my dough hook fitted on my KitchenAid. Putting it down, locking it in place, turning it on low. Can't put that there. Use that. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get some more flour. See you guys in a minute. Okay, guys, it's been about 3 minutes. Popping my mixer off, pulling the hook up because I don't want flour everywhere. I did get some more. Yay! So we were up to 3 cups. Do my 4th cup in the blue mixer. Again, gonna let it run on low just for a few minutes so that flour gets incorporated. Then I'll turn it up a bit. I usually do 5 in the mixer and 5 on the counter, so, or half on the counter, approximately half. It's a feel thing. Anyway, I'm gonna put some of this stuff away. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. If you can hear, my mixer's kind of struggling just a little bit. That's a good thing. All right, gonna add my 4th cup, 5th cup to the mixer. Maybe not all of it, but probably. We'll see. See how I lose count? Not paying attention? Do that all the time. Now after I mix this for just a minute, I'm going to use my spatula and scrape everything down and scrape out, like give it a twist off the bottom of the bowl. It just helps it incorporate. And it does tend to chuck flour out at this point. I do have a splash guard, but it doesn't make me happy, so I don't use it. We just do that on low until it's kind of like there's no more loose flour. Look, it's trying to come out. Loose flour that can come up the edges, and then we turn it up. Whoa! Hello, flour storm. And then we turn it up just a little bit to help the mixer, okay? This may not need any more flour. Don't know. We'll see. It looks shaggy, but once it like gets incorporated, it'll be fine. I kind of let my mixer do a little bit of the kneading for me because arthritis, not fun. Okay, it's clear on the sides of the bowl, so now I'm going to turn it off. Get my spatula, lift it up, scrape it down off the hook because it tends to get like little flour pockets in it, which is weird. So just moving it off the hook and then just scraping down the sides of my bowl. If anybody out there knows how to make homemade tortillas, hit me up, teach me, so I can teach everyone else. And I want to be able to make them because I love tortillas. Everything I make either tastes like biscuits or pancakes, and I am not amused. So, failure as a baker right there. Tortillas, they are my bane. And I have tried several recipes. They never taste like the ones I get in the store. And I know they won't be exact because they're homemade, but I get pretty close, right? Ain't no shame in that. I want it to be a little more tortilla-y. That's actually looking pretty good and smooth. So now I'm going to take it out of here, put it on my counter, and knead it for about 7 minutes. Because I've done some of the kneading in the mixer, I don't need to knead it for 10. You'll know whenever it changes texture. it becomes a little easier to push around. So that's done. Test the stickiness. Yep, I'm going to need a little more flour on my counter. Just about a half a cup. I'm not trying to go crazy here. and I'm only going to add a little now and then add it as I need it. But do not add more than 5½ cups of flour, especially those of you in high altitude places. You'll need to use less because, less flour because it's drier there. All right, come here, scraper. I have a bowl scraper, but I don't want to dirty another dish today, or another item, rather. This is already dirty. I'll just use it. And see, everything came off it. I rub my hands in my flour, get it on top of my bread, give it a little turn. All right, now I'm gonna need, I'll be back with you guys when I'm done. Got my grease bowl ready and my wet, damp towel ready to cover it. My oven's on proof. We are rolling right along today. Our caramel sauce is cooling. Chocolate ganache is made. I'm so excited for this bread, y'all. Excuse me. And I can still smell the cinnamon. It's fantastic. All right, see y'all in a few minutes. Okay, you guys, that's about 7 minutes. You want your bread to be tacky but not sticky. So what that means is when you hold it like this and you drop it, it takes a moment before it drops, but then the dough doesn't come off on your hands. Dough will tell you when it's had enough flour. It gets funky. Wheat flour, don't ever use 100% wheat flour because it's not tasty. You will end up with dense, ridiculous bread that you cannot eat, and it's just gross. So it's usually the stuff you buy in the store is like 40% wheat. I think they only have to be a certain percentage to be called wheat bread. Anyway, don't do it. It's not a good look. All right, so I kind of have a bread dough ball here. Top is nice and smooth. I'm going to pop it into my bowl. Pre-greased with Crisco. Top down. Swirl it around to coat it all. Flip it over. Smash it flat. What we're looking for is doubling in size. So my oven is on to proof. I'm pretty sure that little tiny piece of whatever it was I just found in there was some cinnamon. I wanted to take it out. Anyway, all right, covered. Going in the oven to proof. I will be back in 1 hour, and hopefully this place will be a little cleaner. See y'all then. Hey guys, I'm back. It's been an hour. Our bread is poofy. Seriously poofy. It's definitely doubled in size. That's amazing. If I didn't remember to tell you earlier, if you're going to knead your bread on your counter, just make sure it's super duper duper clean. It will pick up stuff from 1942 if you don't clean it. Seriously. Aunt Marge's tears from when her husband left her at the altar. Your bread will pick it up. It's like it grabs everything. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is cut this in half. Alright, because like I said, I'm making 2. If you want to just make half of one of these, go for it. I'm just going to leave that over there and covered with my towel while I do this. Done with that for right now. I'm going to put it over there so I don't cut myself because I'm good at that. Alright, I have a cup of chopped pecans on my cutting board over there. I have my chocolate ganache, which I warmed for 10 seconds in the microwave just so it would be movable. Now I'm just going to spread my dough out. Rising gives it a little bit more elasticity. And we're going for long here. But you also want it to be kind of even. I don't use rulers because it doesn't have to be perfect. It's whatever it is. Alright? It is whatever it is. Spread it out. If you get holes, just fold the stupid dough over and smash it down. You're not going to hurt it. There's another piece of cinnamon. Anyway. And what you're looking for is like a long triangle. Or, I mean, triangle. A long rectangle. I obviously need more coffee today. Alright. Now what we're going to do is spread on this lovely sheet of dough some of our caramel sauce. And you can just kind of drizzle it on there like so. It's all right if it goes off the ends. We're not being picky. You just kind of want a nice coating of caramel. Don't get carried away, but do make sure that it goes to the edges, okay? Because when we cut it, you'll see. And we're going to do the same thing with our chocolate sauce that we're doing with this caramel. So just take your spoon or your spatula or whatever and just kind of smear your caramel all over your dough. I didn't do an enriched dough because it just gets too sweet. I like it on my regular bread because my regular bread is a little bit savory. I told you I added the wheat bread, so it has that little bit of sweetness from that. And you are more than welcome to top this with caramel or anything else. Now that I've touched the dough with the spoon, I'll put it over there. All right, chocolate sauce. You can also use Nutella, which gives it a nice nutty hazelnut flavor. We're going to go a little lighter with this, even though it's semi-sweet chocolate. I don't want to overdo it. And I don't really have a whole ton of this. And like I said, I'm making two. So one is for our bread pudding, which I will link this recipe to. And just kind of give it the same treatment as the caramel. It spreads a little better, actually. Don't worry about those ends. Go ahead and go over them. You're not going to hurt anything. Just leave like a little line on one side so you can seal it shut. Not the edge closest to you. Make sure you go all the way up that bad boy because that's where you're going to start your rolling from. All right. Chocolate caramel. Yum. I did just do that. Right into my mouth. That's tasty. It's not super sweet, but it's tasty. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take this edge and we're going to roll it over like so. This is going to give you a beautiful little spiral in your bread. Don't push it, kind of pick it up and fold it over. You don't want it to be super tight, but you don't want it to be super loose either. And you don't want to push that chocolate and caramel out as you go. You want it to stay in there. All right, like I said, we're not really going to cut the ends off or anything, so don't worry about that. Pick that end up and pinch it all the way across. Don't want any of that goodness escaping. Right? Right. Now, you should have kind of a roll. Looks a little bit like this. And hopefully, you can turn it. Now, I like to cut it on the seam side. It just makes life 15,000 times easier. But we're not going to cut it all the way to each end. What I'm going to do, this is how we're going to braid, is start about an inch from the end and just cut right down the middle. This is going to make a hell of a mess on your counter, but dude, it's so worth every second and every minute that you spend cleaning it up. Okay, so severed, make sure you use a nice sharp knife too. Then just kind of split it and roll it over so all your chocolate and caramel goodness is on top, like so. It's beautiful, right? Now comes the hard part. You're going to lay this one down right in the middle, take the other one, lift it, and cross it over. Then scoot this one over, lift it and cross it over. It's going to kind of walk, which is fine. If you need to come back to center, you can do that just by pulling one straight and then pulling the other one straight. Just make sure you get a nice tight twist, okay? And keep that chocolate caramel on top. All right, now I just roll it like this, tuck it under, and you have a nice knot. Bam. Ooh, there's chocolate on the counter. Anyway, this is what you end up with. Isn't that pretty? Now I have chocolate on the bottom of my pan. Oopsie. All right, I'm going to do the same thing to the other one, hopefully. Should be pretty similar. And then get it on this pan, and then we'll get them back in the oven for half an hour to proof. Take them out, preheat the oven, and bake away. Also, I have to top them with my pecans. You can also put like salt on top. It's so good. All right, let me clean this up, do my second one, and I'll be right back with you guys. Okay, guys, welcome back. You can see this one's risen just a little bit since I put it on the tray here. Now we're going to sprinkle these with pecans. Like I said, I just chopped these up with a chopper. Like I said before, you can sprinkle them with salt as well. It goes beautifully with these. Try not to drop too many of the nuts on the tray because they will burn. We're going to bake these at a pretty high temperature. We're just going to kind of keep an eye on them. Not too many of the nuts on the tray. These are so very, very delicious. And I love a pecan. So, give me pecans any day of the week. I am a happy camper. Now these are going to kind of, I like the big pieces. These are going to kind of swallow your pecans as it rises. The bread will. So be mindful of that when you're putting them on. Just know that more is less. Not less is more is less. You will see whatever they spread. Again, these will be for bread pudding. I will make sure to link that in the description below the video in case you guys want to check it out. That's going to be just as delicious as this bread. So just pat some on the chocolate. It ain't coming off, I promise you that. It was a beast to get off my counter. So just make it pretty. These are great for holidays too. People be like, oh my God, you made that? You're like, yes, I did. Bam, baby. So there they are. I'm gonna cover them with some plastic wrap, maybe. Probably not. And just put them in my oven to proof for half an hour, and then I'll pop them out and preheat the oven. So, viva la bread. I will see you guys after we have our second rise. Hey guys, I'm back. Our loaves have not quite doubled in size, but they've risen quite a bit. I don't care if they touch or, bake together because I'm just going to tear them apart anyway. These are tricky. So I'm going to cook them at 375 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. Now these are like super important that you actually use a thermometer to check the internal temperature. It needs to be 195. And make sure you're actually getting down into the dough and you're not like hanging out on any of that caramel or chocolate. That's going to make a huge difference. It looks like it's going to melt a whole lot in the oven, but it doesn't. It sets up pretty quickly. So I'm excited to bake these. I'm preheating my oven right now to 375. I'm going to get them in. It'll probably take it 20 minutes to get hot, so I got some time. These will just sit here and keep growing. I will see you guys right before they go in, and then again whenever they come out, and we will have a bite after they cool just a bit, because I love this bread. So I'll see y'all then, okay? Okay guys, it's time for these to go in the oven. I'm going to very closely monitor them for 20 to 25 minutes. May take a little longer, may not take that long, but I will be back with you guys to tell you how long exactly these take to bake, because I just usually wing it. So go into the oven, see y'all in a little bit. Hey guys, I'm back. These are out of the oven. They've been cooling for just a few minutes. They're really good when they're warm, so I do encourage you to just rip into one right out of the oven. They get a little gooey in the middle because of all the chocolate and caramel, but that's okay. That doesn't mean they're not done. They did reach temperature in 25 minutes, so there's your note, 25 minutes. Let me tell you what, those pecans really give it a kick that is quite pleasant in my mouth. So the ganache and the caramel that you made, if you don't use it all, and you really shouldn't, pop a lid on the jar, put it in the fridge. It'll keep for a while, a couple of weeks. It's great on, look at me dropping pecans everywhere. It's great on ice cream. I had not eaten lunch today. I've been baking and cooking all day, so there's my lunch. That cinnamon really comes through too. So this one over here will be saved. I will be cutting that one up and throwing it into a bread pudding in a couple days. Y'all, bread pudding with this bread is absolutely to die for. So that's just going to be left sitting. I'm probably going to bag it after it cools completely. And then I'll cut it up and make bread pudding with it. I just got a big bite of cinnamon. So yummy. So, you see me. I am all down in this thing. And you can see it's done. The bread's light and fluffy. It's cooled off some. Very good. You can also cut it once it's cool. It's not totally cool right now. It's still just a little bit warm. So I'm not going to cut it for you guys, but you can see down in here the really beautiful holes, air holes. I'm going to quit eating now. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If not, that's okay. We always have next week. I'm going to split out the chocolate ganache and the caramel sauce and do 2 separate videos for those. It'd be like just little tutorials or whatever. But, so if you ever want to just watch that part, you can. But please try it. If you try it, leave me a comment down below. Let me know how you liked it. Share. I'm Right Joe Michaels everywhere. Check out some of my other videos. The link will be popping up here somewhere. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.